Welcome into Tribe Talk, and on this week's edition, coming up, we'll talk with the athletic director of Clarke High School. That is Tracy Johnson. He'll join us in segment 2, and we'll kick things off here with Coach Duane Matthess after a tough 44-0 loss for homecoming right here in Osceola on Friday night. And Coach, another tough night, another tough offensive night, and just all around didn't go in the favor you'd like to see it.
Yeah, we start off our second series of offense, and Cole Reese goes down with a broken hand. We found out eventually it was a broken hand after he went to the hospital. So that kind of, again, threw us off a little bit with the pieces that we had on the chessboard, and left us scrambling a little bit. Obviously not a very deep team, and any time we have to move players around, and had some players that just came back from their academic suspension, so those guys weren't real sure what exactly was going on, just because they hadn't been playing from the last 5 weeks. So I think that compounded things a little bit to throw us out of whack a little bit, but hats off to Davis County. They played a really good ball game. They attacked us defensively where they were going to have success, and they just kept plugging away, and ultimately we need to make tackles and we need to make stops defensively.
And you guys, like you talked about, you had a key injury once again for what seems to be the 5th week in a row, and we're 5 weeks into the season. One guy after another on the key injury aspect of it, and it's tough to see leadership and key players like that go down week in and week out, and trying to keep them healthy throughout.
Yeah, I think that's probably been more so. The frustrating thing is, we've had players, not just the injuries, but we're losing, some outstanding leadership in those players. And I think that more so has been the biggest frustration in regards to the injuries that we've had, whether it be Connor, Nick, John, now Cole, Lucas Henry. I mean, there could be an argument made that those 5 that I just listed there are probably in, at least I'd say 4 of those players you could say easily are in our top 5 of our players on our team. And certainly it's that's you take 4 of the top players off anyone's team, they're going to struggle. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Tim Lovell, who's the head coach at Marion High School, and I said, hey, take these 4 players off your team, and he said, man, he's like, I don't know what I'd do, and that's essentially the situation that we've found ourselves to be in, and again, that's why, after we watched some film, I stressed to our players, and I had a parent get a hold of me after the game and said, what can we do to be more supportive as a parent, for our kids in our program? And I said, during the summer and off season, we need to have them in the weight room. I go, because not only is strength and conditioning there to build stronger and faster athletes, it is there for injury prevention. A lot of the lifts that we do in our strength and conditioning program are implemented and put in there for injury prevention. And now, does it mean that if Damon, if you're on the football team and you're in the weight room every single day, doesn't mean that I can promise you that you're never going to get injured? I mean, because no one should ever make that promise, but it goes a long way in making sure that that you're in the best position to stay healthy.
Yeah, and that's always the tough thing to get across is you've got to be in that weight room, and like you said, it's not necessarily only just for building bigger, faster, stronger players, but keeping them from getting injured when it comes down to it. And when you look at it, 9-10 games throughout the season, it's going to take a wear and tear on you, and you got to find a way to power through it. Talk a little bit about Riley Domina's performance on Friday. He had to step up in that role. Connor's gone on the defensive side. John was gone for the defensive side. Cole went down. He was another key player on the defensive side. You pretty much had to leave it in the hands of Riley Domina to take up and clean up business there on the defensive side of the ball, and he stepped up.
Yeah, Riley had a solid performance. He had 11 tackles, and 2 tackles were for loss. And he's been really kind of pretty consistent, and he's bounced around from corner to outside linebacker. And we were in a position last Friday because John was gone in Idaho for a funeral. His grandfather unfortunately passed away, and that's where he needed to be, absolutely 1,000%. But then, obviously with Connor's injury, so we had to move Amani to the inside. And, it was a good thing that we had Alejandro Byford come back from his suspension for scholarships rule that we have there. Because, we just were running out of players in the sense of linebackers. And so Riley, obviously he's a team captain for a reason. He has that leadership, and he's not the biggest kid in the world, but he's real coachable, and he works real hard, and that's about all you can ask. He's just an outstanding person. And you love to have those guys on your team. I was joking with him. I said, if we can just get you to be about 185, 190 pounds on his frame, I said, then we're going to be going somewhere with that. But he's about 137 pounds, 140 pounds. But, he's been real consistent and kind of an anchor for us on our defense. And it doesn't mean he's error-free at all. There's times that, he still makes mistakes. But, he tries to learn from those mistakes, and that's what makes him such a great player for us.
And that's always key indeed. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back with Tracy Johnson, the athletic director of Clarke Community Schools, here on Tribe Talk. This segment of Tribe Talk is brought to you by Osceola Foods, and talking now with the Athletic and Activities Director of Clarke High School, Tracy Johnson. And Tracy, first of all, thank you for joining us and being a part of this. I know Coach is wanting you to have been on a couple of different times. Now you get the opportunity to join us here today. And tell us a little bit about what's going on in the athletic department for Clarke High School.
Well, thanks, Paul, for having me, first of all. Obviously, it's a busy time of the year with fall, new school year. Got a lot of things going on. We've got 3 junior high sports with football, volleyball, and cross country, and 3 high school sports, football, volleyball, cross country. Excited about what's going on. I know this is kind of the Tribe Talk for football, but I was on the sideline at Chariton a couple weeks ago, and we are definitely doing things the right way. I really, I'm happy with the way things are going. We knew we may have a little addition by subtraction, with situations coming in, but it's important, and I think it's, we need to change a culture, and I think that our fall sports are starting to do it. Our numbers at football are low, but I know everybody on the team's bought in. And that's what we've got to have. We've got to get kids, and we've got to get student athletes that'll buy in. Now we need to get the parents to buy in as well.
And talk to us about that culture change. And you want it for every sport, not just for football. And obviously, we're going to try working this talk in for every sport across the table. But tell us the culture change you would like to see the Clarke Indians have.
I think the first thing is. One of the things I started with last year when I would tweet, and I don't tweet very much because I'm so busy at events doing other stuff. I wish I would tweet more, but just the expect excellence. I had a meeting with a couple of community members actually it was earlier this fall. And one of them mentioned that he had heard people saying that last year we won our homecoming game, and there were people around town that were kind of disappointed that we won. Like, how could Clarke win a homecoming football game? And it kind of shocked me a little bit, but I just think there's a lot of opportunity here. I think right now we're at a crossroads as which direction we want to take. Do we want to continue to do things that we've done for years, continue to do things the way things have been done for years, or if we want to make a change? And I was listening, I live in West Des Moines, so I listen to a podcast. I drive back and forth. And so one of the things that I was listening to my podcast was a quote by Albert Einstein. And it says, his quote was, "We cannot solve the same problems with the same level of thinking that created them." And the other thing I live by is insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to change. So I'm excited about the opportunities to get some changes going. I'm looking forward to it. And I think we've got some coaches on staff that are willing to do that, and hopefully we can get the community and the parents to buy in as well.
And we were talking just before we decided to start, and all this too is it's been a change in culture at the coaching staff as well. You've had a lot of turnover with different positions. How is this going to help with that culture change? You're bringing in new blood into the head coaching positions in a lot of different places, and some assistants are shifting around as well. How is that going to help with this culture change?
Well, I think even in my situation, just having come in from the outside, and I've been fortunate enough to be involved in some successful schools that I coached and taught at, and so I think the big thing is, from my perspective, what I have to do is I have to give the coaches everything that I can give them to help them be successful. Whether that's professional development, whether it's just someone to come in and bounce ideas off of, those types of things. But the bottom line is, I think all of the coaches that we have on staff, and even the people last year as well, they want kids to participate. They want to be successful. But obviously, at the high school sports, we're not about wins and losses. We're about creating an atmosphere for kids to be involved, for them to have some success, whether it's individually, maybe improving on their skills, but also to learn how to be a part of a team. When they get out into the real world, most of them are in their professions are going to have to work with people. And one of the things that hopefully that we can instill in them is the process of how to work with a team, how to understand how teams work, so they can use that to be better men and women as they get older.
And as you guys move forward with this culture change and with getting more kids involved, what is the message you guys are going to try putting across as an athletic department, as coaching staff, some things you would like to see these kids live by on a daily to get them back and then get them involved and build Clarke sports up?
I think the one thing is, just to increase the number of opportunities. One of the things that I feel pretty confident that this spring we'll have a soccer team for both boys and girls. And I guess just to create the mindset that, with hard work, anything's possible. We're not going to go out and we're not going to go, win 21 basketball games right away or things like that. But I want our kids to be able to see that that's a possibility. Hey, we've got a chance to have a winning record, and that may be where we start. Our volleyball team has an opportunity this year. I believe they'll have the most wins we've had since 2011, 2012 season. So those types of things. And I think, in any district or in any program, success builds success. And so our successes right now, we're going to measure them kind of small. But that's the thing. We need to have success so our student athletes can understand that, both on the athletic fields and hopefully in the classroom as well.
You guys moving forward with this culture change. You talked about it a little bit. Soccer programs coming in a little bit different. Tell us what about the soccer program itself that you're trying to get involved in the school, and then some other things that are coming down the road. I know basketball season, believe it or not, it's right around the corner, and wrestling's right there, bowling's there, and then you get into spring stuff right after that, and believe it or not, we're talking about this time next year.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast it goes. We've got some good things coming up we'll talk about the winter first. We've got basically we've got a new head boys and a new head girls basketball coach. Coach Subert's going to take over the girls. She's familiar with the program. She was an assistant there last year with them. Coach Jim Dingman is going to take over the boys program. Really looking forward to what he can bring. He's been a part of a successful program at Pella. So he kind of knows what it takes to get there. Krista, when Krista steps on the floor, she brings credibility right away. She was an NAI All-American for basketball. So that automatically brings credibility to her, and she's going to be young, but I like the staff that she's kind of gathering around, where she's going to have Coach Earhart with her, that I think will help a great deal. So I'm really looking forward to those to them. Our wrestling team, we only lost one senior last year, although it was Nathan Bear's a tough one to lose. Mm-hmm. I like what we got coming back, and I think we've got some 8th graders that are going to be freshmen that I think that wrestled a little bit. So looking forward to seeing what wrestling can do. Our numbers are going to be up next year, so we're looking forward to that. In the spring, we've got obviously 2 new coaches. Coach Matthess is going to take over for the boys for the track program, and Coach Eckerman is going to go back to the girls. We kind of made that switch thinking it was important for our football coach to be in the boys track program, and Coach Eckerman graciously said he'd head back over to the girls. And obviously we've got our 2 they've got to be I'm sure they're the longest tenured coach in the district, with besides Coach McCann in the fall, with Coach Earhart and Coach McWilliams with tennis and golf. So I know tennis had a successful season. They've got most of the girls back. And the golf team, we've got Connor Deutsch made it to districts for boys golf, which hasn't been done in a long time. So and then, like you mentioned, then it's spring and we get going on our summer sports. So I'm looking forward to all those things, but I just want to understand that this is like talking with all our coaches. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We've got to continue to work on this day to day.
That is the athletic director and activities director at Clarke High School and for the Clarke Community School District, Tracy Johnson. Tracy, thank you for taking time here and getting us up to speed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Back here with the head football coach of the Clarke Indians, Duane Matthess, and this segment of Tribe Talk brought to you by Osceola Dental Care. And Coach, now you guys can look forward past homecoming week, after all the festivities that it brought upon and everything else. You can move past it and look past and get ready to go to Albia coming up Friday, and another tough matchup, district play, a team that's traditionally been very good, had a couple of down years this year and last year, and you guys get to prepare for them for this week.
Yeah, Albia presents some unique challenges in the sense there are an 80% probably passing team. They remind me a little bit of their quarterback reminds me of the ability that the Sadell quarterback had, which kind of gives me a little bit of indigestion, a little need to pop some omeprazole or something. His ability to extend plays is, because that's tough. I don't care how great a defense you have. When you have a quarterback that has the ability to extend plays, that's tough to cover. And, when you especially that's a lot to ask of your defensive backs to cover someone for 10 seconds, if you got a guy that's scrambling around. So you know, now who knows if after watching our film they may decide to come out and say we're just going to run the ball on. I mean, so we'll see. That's not what I expect them to do. But ultimately, we gotta bring some pressure on their quarterback, and hopefully we're able to do that, as well as contain him if he does try to start scrambling and moving. So, as a coaching staff, we got together and talked about some different strategies that we can use. So hopefully the kids will be excited about that and get ready for Albia on Friday, because I know that they probably have this game circled on their calendar in the sense of we beat them last year, and traditionally we haven't had a lot of success against Albia. So, but I know that our kids, even after Friday, after the game, I told them, said, hey, look, take 12 hours, lick your wounds. I go, but come 7 o'clock tomorrow when we hit the weight room, our focus is on Albia. And, Riley Domina, I hate to, sing his praises again and give him too big of a head, but, before I even finished that sentence, he was like, yeah, they want payback for last year. I mean, so, I think our kids understand that, and they've came with a really good focus this week, and that's one thing you can say, Damon, sorry, with our kids this year. We haven't had the success that we've wanted on the football field. I mean, that's no secret. But our kids haven't quit. I mean, they're still coming back every single practice, and they're still putting in work. And that's only going to make them better as a program. And, it's no secret that this season hasn't gone like how we've wanted it to go. But we knew it was going to be difficult with the numbers that we had. And, but you look at our defensive line, for instance. Our defensive line has 3 freshmen starting on it and 1 junior. We have no seniors that are on our offense or defensive line. I mean, so it's, we understand that we're a young team, and that's what we're trying to keep these guys together and building towards the future. And not that we're trying to say like, oh, our seniors and our juniors aren't making any type of contribution. I mean, the way that our seniors have led this program, I mean, I told the team on Saturday, I said, look, our seniors that are here, when you sophomores become seniors and our juniors become seniors, and you start tasting that success, is a direct reflection of the leadership that our seniors this year have provided and in our program.
And you guys, moving forward, you can take a look at that and build, like you said, build off of the senior leadership that you guys have created. And you mentioned early about Albia and what they do offensively. Traditionally, Albia has been big. They've been physical. They have ground to the pound and beat you to death on the ground, and maybe had 12 passing yards in the ball game, but they had 300 and some running yards. Now they flipped the script completely. And how difficult is it to prepare for a team that traditionally is a run team? You don't have much film on what they do passing besides what you have for this season.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I knew Albia ran the ball, but for me, it hasn't been a challenge. I mean, and quite frankly, like from year to year, now with the way our district is set up for our district pool that we put our film into, we have like 4 or 5 games now on Albia that we can look at what they've done this season. So we don't traditionally look back into last season like maybe in years past that we've done, because with our district pool we're just not just getting the last 2 games off of someone. We can, like, for instance, PCM, we can have 8 games to break down what they run. I mean, because they're our last game of the season. But that's the nice thing about the district pool that we have. If you want film off someone, you're gonna be able to get it. I mean, so. As far as what they've done in the past, I know Coach Staten was there for a number of years, and He since has moved on, and they've hired within the program for some co-head coaches, that I think are doing from what I can tell, it look like they're coaching up the kids well and doing a pretty outstanding job over there. And one thing that they've always had over there, they've had kids that bought into the weight room. So they have some big and physical kids, which are going to cause a matchup problem for us. But as always been the whole case this season is we're not going to be bigger than We're not going to be bigger than any team that we play this year. I mean, and that's what I told our kids again today. I said, look, we may not be bigger than teams that we play, but we can get stronger. And so that's the message, and we have to get stronger.
Now you guys, like you said, get prepared for Albia. Just from what you guys have seen so far in a day of practice for this week under your belt, what are the keys to the ball game, to defeating Albia come Friday night?
Well, I told our kids this week, I said, we're scaling things back a little bit. We're kind of getting back to the basics, and not that we were overloading our kids with different stuff offensively or something, but we need to simplify things for them to make sure that we give them every chance for success. And so we talked about as coaches, after slowing things down and really breaking it down and coaching up every single player that we can as a coaching staff after every single play that we run. And we're just not in a position where every one of us 6 coaches that are on the staff should be saying something to someone after every play. So, for us to be successful on Friday, we have to be dang near flawless offensively and defensively. And that means no turnovers, no bad snaps. It doesn't mean that we can't have mistakes. I mean, there's going to be mistakes, but how we, react and overcome those mistakes and capitalize on mistakes that Albia makes. I mean,
right.
If they're going to throw the ball, a lot of times, we need to come down with some interceptions. I think we've had 1 or 2 all season long. So, we need to be more opportunistic on the defensive side of the ball.
Final thoughts before we head into Friday's ball game.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit of a jaunt to get over Albia. It's about an hour from here, but I hope that we, have a lot of supporters go over there and help us out on the victory. I don't have any doubts that we will. I mean, our fans have been fantastic this season, and that's one thing that does, fire me up about Clarke football is the support that I've gotten from parents and administration here has been outstanding. So that makes me know that I'm in the right place, and I'll say this: I was joking with a teacher today because they pop in and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." I mean, it's almost like I felt like I was in a suicide prevention hotline or something. Like calling in, be like, "Hey, you doing all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good," and I haven't second guessed my jumping at the chance to bring my family here to Osceola, and I am, for those people who are maybe hoping that they'll see a for sale sign or in my yard, I hope to disappoint you because I'm not planning on going anywhere, and I'm gonna looking forward to when the season's over and getting these kids and getting to work and building a better program here at Clarke. So yes, I'm here for the long haul. I'm not planning on going anywhere, and I'm excited to work with our players and our parents and our administration and making Clarke football better.
Well, certainly, Coach, the program's headed in the right direction and doing it the right way, and looking forward to see what comes in the future, and hopefully we can beat Albia on Friday.
Hey, I appreciate that, Damon. One Tribe.
That's going to do it for Tribe Talk this week, brought to you by Joe's Hack and Quack Barbershop, Osceola Foods, and Osceola Dental Care. We'll be back next week with a recap of Albia and previewing the rest of the season.